Hello, my name is Natalie Warren. I'm recording this webinar for the River Management Society about the economic benefits of water trails. I've been working with them over the past couple months as an intern researching this topic. First, what is a water trail? Water trails are recreational routes on waterways that are managed for canoeing, kayaking, boating, and camping. They typically are developed by government entities to encourage recreation, conservation, and education. They include a network of public access points and campsites, as you can see here, that make it easy for people to recreate on the water. They can be on rivers or lakes. Any body of water can be a water trail. A brief history of water trails: they were not created to be an economic engine for communities, but rather they were created to make nature accessible and to encourage environmental awareness. And they have grown organically to generate money. On a broader level, the benefits of water trails include environmental benefits, social benefits, and economic benefits. The Northern Forest Canoe Study, which I will talk about more in this presentation, links outdoor recreation to a greater environmental awareness. Through experiencing the water firsthand, paddlers are more likely to care about environmental issues concerning recreation areas. That study also states that recreation communities have lower poverty rates and higher education and health levels. Recreational opportunities can build community pride, provide stewardship opportunities, and provide a place to exercise and connect. This presentation is about the economic benefits of water trails. You can see the canoe portaging through downtown Chicago. We paddled the Chicago Sanitary Canal last year. In many cases, cities and towns along water trails have untapped economic potential. Paddle sports tourism has the potential to diversify economies that have historically relied on one or two industries. Many towns and urban areas have turned their backs on the waterfront due to water quality issues, fear of flooding, and dams. Today, communities are starting to envision their waterfronts as a resource to increase tourism and stabilize or grow their economy. The outdoor recreation economy generates $80 billion per year in national, state, and local tax revenues, according to the Outdoor Industry Association. Of that, water sports generate over $4.8 billion in local and state taxes. While there's not a lot of research on the economic benefits of water trails, the increase in water recreation related to water trails programs is undoubtedly a contributor to the health of the outdoor industry. So the project that I've been working on with the River Management Society was to collect studies and publications about the economic benefits of water trails. While I found over 30 resources talking about this, there were only around 4 or 5 formal economic impact studies showing that this is a fairly new topic, where we have a lot of research on the economic benefits of bike trails and the economic benefits of the outdoor industry. This specific topic focused on water trails is still very new. After I compiled those publications, I categorized them into themes to see what the overlying similarities were between the publications and to highlight success stories between them as well. A little bit about the economic impacts of water trails. You can categorize impacts into direct and indirect impacts. Direct impacts represent the impacts due to payments for goods and services, such as food, gasoline, and recreational equipment. This basically means money that people are spending while they're in your community, also known as visitor expenditures. So visitor expenditures can include spending money at an outfitter or renting a canoe or kayak, somewhere to stay, whether it's a campground or a bed and breakfast or a hotel in town. Spending money in the town on things like clothing and antiques, maybe not necessary for paddling, but an offshoot of paddling expenses is, walking around town and enjoying the culture. Dining was a big one in the studies, whether it's a restaurant or a brewery or a coffee shop or a gas station that just offered some snacks. People who are going to an area to paddle need to eat. Gas, when you're going to a community to recreate, you more than likely need to fill up on gas to get there. Grocery stores for food, packing out, whether it's a multiple day trip or a 1 day trip, you need food on your expedition or your day paddle. And activities such as zoos, museums, tours, and parks that really enhance the experience when you're already in an area to paddle. This is an example of visitor expenditures from the Northern Forest Canoe Trail study. You can see that lodging, people spent 28% of their money for the whole trip on their lodging, and guides and restaurants and groceries and transportation were the top expenditures. So indirect impacts are the result from the purchases of supplies by the directly affected businesses to produce goods and services. So what happens to that money when the people leave the town? After they visited for the weekend, the money circulates around the economy where they were. Now, for the studies that I used for this final summary, which I will link to at the end, use something called the IMPLAN model, which was created by the U.S. Forest Service. And that uses visitor expenditures to identify multipliers in the economy. So visitor expenditures and their impact on employment or tax revenue or immigration to the area. These are all examples of indirect impacts. This image shows how new money comes into the economy, circles throughout the economy. And that's where you have your multipliers and then the economic leakages. So if you have a Starbucks come in instead of a local coffee shop, that's money leaving the economy. The studies that I used for this final summary are the Northern Forest Canoe Trail Study, Economic Impacts and Implications for Sustainable Community Development, the Huron River Water Trail, Economic Impact Analysis, and the Pennsylvania Recreational Water Trails Economic Impact Study. The studies used for this project show that communities which provide amenities for tourists successfully attract a greater number of paddlers. This is a list of what could make a town an amenity-rich town. So access to the water, if you want people to recreate on the water, is very important. But beyond that, what do they need to recreate on the water? You have your outfitters, lodging, dining, integrated recreation, so connected hiking and biking and water trails, activities, and proximity to neighboring towns and cities with similar amenities. So if you are a small town 2 hours away from a metro, will people go there just to recreate in your area if all of the communities around you are not focused on bringing paddle sports tourism in? Maybe not. But if you have communities that share the amenities, one that maybe has a whitewater park, another that has a bed and breakfast or a brewery, then that creates a holistic experience for people coming into the region to recreate. It is important that these things are provided in conjunction with each other. So just putting in access to the water doesn't guarantee an increase in water recreation. The studies for this report showed that lodging, dining, and outfitter services are the most important amenities for paddlers. Integrated recreation and activities are secondary, but still very important to support the paddle sports economy. Lodging was a theme throughout the studies. It's very important to offer a place to stay when people come into your community to paddle or hike. If you want to branch out beyond just the day user, the studies showed that having lodging is very important to attract the overnight paddler. Outfitters were also very important in the studies in attracting paddle sports tourism. People who come to the area don't always have their own boat or paddles or life jackets geared to recreate with. So this is from the Huron River Water Trail study. It shows the revenue from boat rentals the total revenue was over $2,600,000 between 2010 and 2012 from a river that wasn't designated as a water trail until the early 2000s, and before then was used for waste disposals and in industry. So this is a great improvement in their economy. It's a 104-mile river that has experienced economic growth from their water trail. Restaurants and grocery stores were also very important. So when people come into the town, they need a place to stay, they need an outfitter, and they also need somewhere to eat or somewhere to get food for their trip. This graph is from the Northern Forest Canoe Trail study that shows where people spent their money. Activities, as I mentioned, weren't the most important in the studies, but the Pennsylvania Water Trail study showed that tourists who came for the water spent most of their days actually doing other activities. So 13.9 days per year on other tourism activities, including walking, picnicking, biking, and floating on or relaxing beside the water. Into indirect impacts, tax revenue can increase due to paddle sports tourism and new money coming into the economy because of the water trail. This is from the Pennsylvania Water Trail study, and it shows that over the study period, over $82,000 in revenue from paddle sports tourism went to state and local taxes, and nearly $89,000 went to federal taxes. This can be used as a tool to show politicians or city councils, whoever in your community, the benefit of developing a water trail or investing in your waterfront through a monetary standpoint. Real estate and immigration. This is from the Huron River Water Trail study. Most towns along the Huron River have experienced population growth related to the water trail. While it's hard to determine whether or not this is a direct result of marketing the water trail, tourists visiting the town for its recreational amenities may actually choose to retire or relocate in the area, and it is shown that people like to retire in places that have a lot of amenities, outdoor spaces, things to do outside. At the National Water Trails Forum in Michigan this year, we asked participants to take a survey on what they thought the key elements of an economic success for a water trail was. And the results of that survey, so far 8 people have filled it out, and you can click this link here to fill out the survey as well. The results were that enthusiasm in the community leadership, business owners, and residents was essential to the economic success of a water trail among respondents. And all respondents said that it is essential for local businesses to provide amenities catered towards paddle sports tourists. And the survey results showed that political involvement and population growth were helpful but not necessary to the economic success of the water trail. Taking the economic angle when speaking about water trail development or how water trails can improve communities is beneficial because it involves a variety of stakeholders, people who wouldn't necessarily be interested in the environment or interested in improving recreational opportunities in their area, would be interested in how much money they make from paddle sports tourism or how much money they make from people who are coming into their town to experience the water, but also to spend money at the gas station. And the bed and breakfast owner would be interested in getting heads and beds, and the restaurants and the breweries would be interested in providing amenities for people who are there to paddle, but are also giving them money. If you're interested in learning more, the final summary is online on the River Management Society website, which is there. I'd like to thank the River Management Society for making this project possible, and feel free to contact myself or Risa Shimoda. Her contact information is there as well as mine.